Oh, cool. Can you pass me my backpack? It's my stuff. Can you pass me my backpack?
Yeah. Just give me like 2 minutes and I should be ready.
Perfect. Yeah, I just got it. Cool.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
Good to second case. Anyone not ready?
Wait, give me a second.
We're good.
We're in there. So,
Yeah, give me a sec.
Okay.
Great, I'm good. I'm not timing, by the way, so you probably time me.
we'll sign cards. Some cards.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know, y'all guys. Let me know when you get to go. Alright. How long is previewing that too?
Where's case set?
Yeah, almost. Sorry, just waiting. Yeah. Case is sent. Let me look at it. Sorry. That's good stuff.
Okay, is anyone not ready?
Great. It's sent.
Oh, we're not up yet.
It's sending. Sorry, my laptop's a bit slow.
Quick introduction, my name's Aksha and I'll be speaking first on the neck for Emerald.
Okay, it's sent.
Okay, let me know when you guys go.
Yeah. Yeah, we still haven't got it.
Usually takes a minute to clarify.
Oh yeah, I think I just got it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Is everyone ready? Okay. Time will start on my first word. Attention, one is the economy. Right now, the UK economy is growing. Standard around 45 UK economy improving. Water score strong. 26 growth. Hold the government's current cost makes sense. And the right policies in place vital to avoid policy changes. The after stories. Scenario 1 is the euro. Rejoining first is the euro adoption. Market before any negotiations over membership grabs to the table. Spain, Cyprus, England, Greece accept UK back no opt-out. The UK is obliged to use the euro. Indeed, Solomon 20 is a full participating member say the UK will give up its euro opt-out. That causes recession. Pettinger 16. Rejoin the UK and value of currencies uncompetitive. Euro rate set by ECB at UK and euro session, but even deeper nature of UK market means very sensitive to interest rates. So increase big effect. Membership value significantly increases risk of inflation, recession, and debt crisis. And the UK spreads the euro globally. Tokarski's 24. Hinders integration of European capital, but UK exit UK users experience loss of this makes it difficult to implement legislation. That pushes out the dollar. Since Gorley 25, euro potential replace US dollar, lack of fiscal unity within eurozone, require more integrated capital markets. And the UK will push for clean energy. Harvey 25. Britain go all out for net zero government, boost investment in new industries, drive competitiveness, unlock export industries for renewable energy, support UK's future prosperity security. That kills the dollar. GOL 25. Orbit of dollar system, dollar base euro, global payment and credit system, euro tied to green tech currencies, global world, global internationalization, euro embeds the EU. Maintaining dollar hegemony is key to leadership and sanctions. Zone for 20, dollar's role as driver of US leadership and into a worldwide financial distress. Dollar hegemony affords ability to run deficits. Offers alternative to military attempts of foreign governments. Makes it sanctions powerful. 25, example of North Korea, similarly Iran, its nuke style intervention or climate mitigation. The UK leaves again. Australia 23, UK change mind against public opinion. Incentivize politicians to use what's to stop revisiting the question. Or it stalls progress. Cloud 18, UK overturn Brexit, blocks EU reforms, seek favors, stop EU-wide cooperation after 2 referendums. It would be priority to freeze the EU. Ultimately, our recession goes global. TGC 25, UK most connected financial center are access to the global markets responsible for $3.8 trillion daily in forex trade, one of the world's third world traders. Millions in poverty. Alexander 10, global recession is estimated to have pushed 155 million people into poverty. Decline goes nuclear. Oppenheimer 21, low growth produces conflict, produces capacity to control multipolarity. World War III hotspots, escalation, nationalism, paranoia, government seeking legitimacy through external conflict, economy apply, leverage leads to nukes. Extinction, SAR 15, nuclear strike leads to global nuclear warfare, from effect, rise of water to become a dead twin, and most secure nuclear facility will not save us. 10-2 is Russia. UK is the backbone of Russian LNG. 10-35, British enable Russia revenue, 3/4 LNG covered by UK. Buy crude shipped through refineries in India. This is necessary for Russia. Cook 24, tankers carrying low to Europe, asked to provide insurance ships with insufficient insurance sanctions. The AF bans abetting Russian oil. EC 25, in EU maritime transfer financial assistance prohibited for Virginia and Russia should not facilitate flows. It's quick. Kazari 24, security starting point does not involve trade-offs as other policy agree on sanctions. That cooks Russia. Cooper 24, oil bear heavily on Russia, 50% of budget, Putin dark fund military. Gross nuclear. Stein 24, Russia exposed nukes to force Ukraine to add fighting in the situation before this pushed out lower threshold degree to use nukes one state in jeopardy. Independently debates over the plan and cohesion. Sing 23, region fraud each country has veto UK face convincing leaders in internal battles make long session opt-outs politically toxic EU demand higher contributions not going to bear till 10 years. That tempts Russia goes nuclear. Taylor 25, Moscow touted Fowler's record result for defense Putin perceived to get away with the others and Boldenoko, China, Iran move rapidly to nukes. Extinction crossed by SAR 15. Contention 3 is AI. US and UK will overtake China in the AI race, but we need talent. Parsons 25, UK's industry leading tech workforce fastest innovating nation preventing China from winning the AI race. Universities attract top most skilled, not necessarily most data centers will win. It could be a talent race to build super intelligence. Government policy approves. Department for Science 23, government committed pro innovation position on an AI by the UK is the best place to develop and use AI. It's safe. It's 24 UK US AI safety work seamlessly partner on research, cooperation, expert exchanges, MOU safety testing across the globe accelerate both institutes work. And UK regulation is specific. Jones 24, info, healthcare, human rights, and financial authority published to their own sectors. App ended in 3 ways. First is hurts US collaboration and investment. Calpin 712, EU hamstrung by regulatory regime. Brussels laws to over enforce US companies imposing fines, force redesign costs, non UK approach gives confidence to invest EU heavy innovation, make companies think twice. It's second, it stops the flow of computer chips into the UK. Man 25, US restricting access to AI chip experts for US EU member states. The UK will be exempt. Third, vague rules for innovation. Arnold 25, e-regulation provides individual control over data. The UK weighs data against the processor. The processor assesses and justifies the necessity, unlike consent, which relies on users' provisions being vague and ambitious and ambiguous amounts of 43 different opinions. Empirics prove Wheatley 25, EU AI law prevents blocking people with the pace of development, unclear overall and grows towards investment and slow innovation. The window's closing. Mechanic 22, 25 to 23 to decide the tech battle. US is coming parallel close to seeing the strategic technology landscape. Perception of losing the tech race was nuclear. Corning 18, rapid shifts in balance of power, primarily cause of conflict, undermine effective bargain. If Beijing believes emerging tech provides it with a military advantage, it will initiate conflict and direct conflict with the US leads to nuclear war or accidental or inadvertent escalation. Crossed by SAR 15 extinction.
Okay.
I'll send it off.
By the way, I didn't get the sheet, so could someone add me?
Oh,
On the email chain?
Let me check. Oh shoot. Sorry about that.
And also like the fourth of my CA part though.
Here, I'll just. Okay. How about here? I'll just make a. Should I just make a new chain at that point, or?
no, yeah, sure.
Yeah, let me check if I'm doing email.
Oh, just in case.
Sorry, Judge, I still don't see where the your email is. Should I just give you the laptop?
Okay.
I'll forward that to you, then we'll just. And then when you send it, I'll just show you his email so you can add it to him.
Yeah. So you made a new chain?
I just forwarded him the current stuff, and that way, when you reply, I'll just give you his email so you can add him to the.
Oh,
okay.
I'll just do that. Could you do that now?
Yeah, you did that.
Here. I'll give you his email, so.
Yes, yes, yes. I'll just like type it in.
I just got the dog. So. Yeah, I got it too. Thanks.
Okay. Quick introduction. Bishop Margaret, the first speaker on the After Dory Valley. Does everyone have a dog?
I have it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Everyone ready? Alright. Feel free to keep time on my first word. We from Gaza's defense. Russia's advancing the Black Sea surge 25. Russia owns about 10% of the Black Sea coast on Putin, 22 house. Expand how with lose the forwards of Russia dominance. How capture another Ukrainian port city. NATO fails. Dow 20. Putin's aggression occurred. NATO's members are always cash military ban. Putin conjures external causes. This is core of reality. EU fails to Brexit destroys security. Swinging 21. UK is unlikely to benefit from sovereignty. States will the most influence in WTO combating competition, pandemics, and terrorism. The UK post Brexit security policies worrying the UK lack of concern over religious cooperation. Security may be a sign of how defense could be treated. Brexit will impact negatively on UK security and damage the quality of scope of European security. Affirming solves. Rejoining bolsters new defense budget. DOF 25. UK left the EU no urgency that the Brexit will change the EU, weaken UK's stable position. Rejoining is not difficult. The UK should take the lead in rebuilding Europe's rapid increase in an uncertain world when the Europe's collective security. Not contributing to the EU budget is like serious membership. Rejoining need not take long. They retake into email military funds. 625. British defense companies frozen out billions of dollars worth of arms deals and UK nations pushing the UK out of the new weapons fund. Ensures a coordination of European preference. Rearmament UK firms. Biggest defense in Europe will lose on French jet fighters, tanks, and Britain's key if Europe wants to become self-reliant. Bolsters EU deterrence. Solves intel sharing as well. COVID 25. UK is the largest defense budget in Europe. Military presence intelligence as a deal is under block and that's $150 billion of investment in the European defense industry. Without a formal agreement, the UK will be included co-op in UK to enhance Europe's stability and bolster transatlantic security. The UK will never be secure without cooperation. Britain. Current funding fails. 1925. Triple France $100 billion project friction over FCAS budget by the end of the year to move on FCS to phase 2. UK's leading BA systems are giving a strong initial basis system integration to work on two competing projects. Unclear. 2026 is the brink for reports authorities attack center my security Mikhail 25. Which is long-term project for 2026 for troops to seize Odessa and Maivka, which is said would cut off Ukrainian from the Black Sea conduit of exports for the Ukrainian grain. The impact on detrimental Ukraine food exports are crucial to millions of 23. 400 million people on Ukrainian grain and security. Russia puts millions at risk of hunger. Food security costs 16 Korea 19. These are complicated to modernization tech AI be able to engage in nukes with unnecessary nothing be rolled up with weapons deployed. Dry AG failure and hunger among then their nuclear multiplying panic regimes deploy atomic weapons. Nuclear war cannot be excluded. Food security is driving the credentials with the nukes. Most likely saving for the termination of human species. Catastrophe shadow banks. Shadow banking skyrocketing now 24. Not banking history includes excessive leverage, positive risk performance data, BOE estimates, half funding UK businesses comes with non-bank shadow banking, rapid expansion, regulators work with transparency, funding positions concentrated around positions across non-banks, EU regulations all back. European Commission 23. European Commission tech standards of shadow banking entities, shadow banking criteria, identification, shadow banking, ensure harmonization, provide supervised data, and improve linkages of shadow banking sector rules, provide EU banks clarity under shadow banking. Affirming is key. UK has to adopt EU regulations, stop shadow banking. IFG 20. UK is subject to conditions implementing EU's full sum of law. That's key. Otherwise, shadow banking is cause financial ruin. Puzzle 10. Funding credit through shadow banking is the ready cause of borrowing run up for financial credits. Things with increase of volatility, intermediateness, and reliability, fragile, most of shadow banking protons, bank level shadow banking, risk level, risk to screen credit, intermittent severe crisis, failure of intermediates can have large effects on economies. Particularly true. CAD 15. Hours of GOC in 2008, 2009, but shadow banking spotlight policymakers and regulated shadow banks could increase vulnerability to financial systems. Economic decline in Britain goes global. Grid 32. Global economics and credit to UK transmission tips other markets over the edge of close ties, which is nuclear. Shark 24. Economic downturn is the most central risk to trigger other risk. Extinction, greenhouse, with Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, is possible power stability, eroding governance, containment, long-term economic fragility, contribute to conflict, and visual letting the world major powers in conflict involved nuclear capabilities. Got the card there. Own extinction. Shark 15. When nuclear cycles unstoppable global nuclear, their ultimate become dead planet like Mars. Section 3, Scotland. Scotland's secession happens next year, 1st to 25. For 53% of Scotland votes for independence. S&P rooms across 123, 30% of voters, 20% of Labour for 7%. Starmer says yes, Ramsey 25. Every piece of vacation referendum easy to deny. Starmer is different. His party holds most seats in Scotland, refusing hardly endure the electorate. A successful referendum is uniquely likely. Sky 25. So you call a referendum on the independence S&P voted by 23, by 20 to 30. 1 million young Scots are eligible to vote who were 22 young in 2014. Scotland faces a pivotal when governments failed to deliver the absolute the root cause and CR 23-4. Brexit's key shaping opportunities towards independence supports significantly for the referendum. 2006, over 50% of Scots believe being part of the EU would be more beneficial to have access to markets. The sharing brings deterrence and causes escalation. ABM 21. Independence would be a key disaster. The UK would have to find its deterrent and necessarily the S&P committed to decommission the basis of no replacement while the UK reorganizes defense military capability, project power would be non-existent. Russia will fund tasks visible to nationalists that would be critical one in the defense of extinction. Clear 23. Great power will see nuclear bioweapons and destructive tech threats, extinction, accidents, or misunderstandings, sparks conflict that can escalate tensions between cause leaders to fight such as war, leading to extinction through nuclear winter or reducing resilience. Thus affirm. Cross. Good for girls.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start time now. Can I have the first question?
Sure.
How does food insecurity lead to extinction?
We would say that it causes panicking regimes such as countries like China and North Korea to launch nukes immediately. Can I get a question?
Wait. Can I get a follow-up?
Sure.
Wait, we've had food insecurity for like hundreds of times in the past. So why haven't people why did actors not escalate that? Why do we not see nuclear?
Because
What
it's
makes it now
uniquely,
key?
Yeah, it's uniquely key now because we would say we have 3 active conflicts right now, and right now we have more proliferation, more states, and we would also say that like since there's so much instability in the world, like obviously Brexit, obviously Trump's tariffs, we're seeing more instability and more chances for escalation. But I'll take a question now.
Okay,
Let's
sure.
go to AI, right? You're telling me that your impact scenario is about a hegemonic transition based on tech. So like, wouldn't it be the same way? Wouldn't it be the same other way around? If China sees that their AI is going down, if China sees they're losing tech race, wouldn't they also lash out?
Wait, I don't get your question.
Okay, so okay, just to clarify, your impact scenario is talking about how a tech race or a change in the tech dynamics would cause like the actors to lash out, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so isn't it the same way for China? If China sees that they're falling behind, wouldn't they also lash out?
We'd argue that like our link is really specific in telling you that like the US and the UK have like really specific links on why they would escalate. Like
Wait,
sure, even if China sees that
can
they're
you read
losing
me?
the
Can
race.
you read me your impact evidence?
Okay.
I'll read it if you want. It's on AI. Let me just pull it up real quickly. It says that like any like hegemonic transition would cause perception of losing the tech race goes nuclear. Quoting 18. That means that, like the perception of anyone losing the tech race could go nuclear.
Okay, wait.
Give me a, no, we just
Wait.
aside from
Our
the
evidence, like that's like literally the opposite of what our evidence says.
No, give me a warrant for why China wouldn't feel the same way. Like,
Right, our evidence is really clear in telling you that
No,
if China gets the perception that they're winning the tech race, that's when they'll go nuclear. It's not about losing the tech race, it's about winning it. Our evidence is really
Wait, your
clear.
tag literally says perception of losing the tech race goes nuclear. There's two things. Either your evidence is mistagged, or your evidence doesn't say what you're saying it does.
Okay. This is like perception of the US and the UK
It
losing
doesn't
the
say
tech
that. It's
race.
just perception of losing the tech race
Yeah,
goes
for
nuclear.
the US and the UK. If China perceives that the US and the UK are losing, they'll go nuclear. It's really clear.
Wait, give me a
It's not
just,
mistagged.
just give me a warrant. Like, why do you believe China wouldn't feel the same way? I'm asking for a warrant.
Okay, wait. Okay, that's what I'm telling you, right? If China feels that they're winning, they'll go
No,
nuclear.
wait, no,
If the
you're missing
US
my point. Like, if China feels that they're losing, why wouldn't they do the same thing? Why doesn't it apply to China?
Wait, that's not even what we're saying. Okay,
No,
we're
that's
not
what
talking
I'm
about.
asking. That's my question.
Okay, wait. So could you repeat your question? So
Yeah,
you're
okay.
asking if
So-
China feels like they're losing, why would they not go to war?
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, so our evidence is really clear in telling you that they're not going to go to war if they lose. They're going to go to war if they feel
No,
like they're
wait,
winning
what's
because
the
they're going to see
warrant,
that they're
man?
up.
Come on,
They're going
what's
to try
the
to
warrant?
capitalize on this position. Obviously, if the US and the UK see that they're
No,
winning,
wait,
they're not going to
whole
launch
cross.
nukes
You've been
because
telling me our evidence is X. Our evidence is Y. I've been asking you for a warrant so we can interact with the
Wait, the
warrants,
warrant is really clear, right? It's not about losing the tech race. Okay, it's like my third time saying this. It's about winning the tech race.
Why?
Our evidence is really clear in telling you that if
No, wait,
China
it's-
sees that they're winning the tech race, they're going to capitalize on this position because they believe that it provides them with a military advantage. That's why they
No, wait,
initiate
why is it
conflict.
the same other way around? Like you're
So-
not giving me a warrant. You're just saying my evidence says this. What's the warrant your evidence
Okay,
says?
so
What's
if
the warrant?
so the other way around means that the US and the UK will initiate conflict if they see that they're winning.
No,
That's
it could
what
be
the other
China
way around
initiating conflict on a triad basis because they feel that they're falling behind. We'll read cards on this later, but that's
is.
cross.
Okay, sure.
Are you guys done?
No, I'm sending it off.
Okay.
On analytics, can we read what's on analytics? They're not in the doc.
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
Anything that's not on here is going to be analytics.
Okay. Let's slow down.
But everything's on the roundup, right?
Everything's around
And what is the highlights for?
highlights. Stuff I'll read. Actually, no. I'm just gonna read everything around doc. So the highlights.
Give me one.
Everyone good to go?
Yeah. Like 1 second. You send off.
Wait, we still don't have doc. What's the issue?
If I don't get to reading any,
Oh,
if I
we
don't
just
get
got
it reading any cards, I'll send a marked.
No, we just got it, yes.
Everyone good to go?
Let me just open it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay.
Great. Time's gonna start my first word. It's gonna be down their case. 3, 2, 1.
Start on deterrence. 1. On U.S. commitment remains strong. Corvus 617 Trump single nuclear dimension remains unaffected. U.S. continues to support EU nuclear deterrence. Trump will not alter comparable to earlier disagreements and never result in collapsing most restrictive interpretation. Trump abandoning nuclear inconsistent with achieving President's goal stable order to achieve domestic aims. Trump recognizes the strategic importance of ally dedicated to limiting Beijing. 2. Dealing. Written rejoin doesn't necessitate sharing military resources. Still optional use capabilities. Post Afra no different than status quo. 3. Non-joint operations now. Reuters 25. UK will join EU crisis management mission preventing conflict, threatening security. 4. Dealing no invasion now. Harvard 25. Russia's DIB can sustain vehicle, artillery, and ammunition race, recruitment, slowing economy, inflation, labor shortage. Putin does prioritize breaking Western support. In 25. Kremlin engaging in the campaign to posture Russia is stable. 5. Dealing no Russia threat. Their authors are wrong. Holding 25. Leaders sound alarmed. Threat grotesquely exaggerated by those promoting commercial interests. Companies have intended to paint dark picture. MIC investing create jobs. Leaders eager to stimulate growth. Another reason to distract leaders facing economy was protests invoke external threats to value 5. That completely indicts all their evidence. Means you can end their contention there. Then 6. Dealing no expansion beyond Ukraine. Cargo 22. Gives you indigenous law to exclude Russian minorities, affect Russian identities, protect Russian minorities. Ukraine's ideational important motivate Russia's policy to Ukraine. Interests elsewhere, not a alien expansion, unlikely, not a land equal. 7. Turn. App calls it a U.S. pullout. 1625, Trump would detest bringing EU clubbing together because it reduces U.S. power. NDS likes to block you, wreck European security partnership, abandon NATO. That ensures Russian aggression. Benedict 24. Deflated NATO struggle to deter Putin. Act more brazenly without Russia, without America and NATO. You lose military edge over Russia and collapse altogether. EU non-position take NATO's place as military capabilities limited. 8. Turn. UK intel prevent miscalculated war with Russia. Laws 24. Britain intel stop consequence from spiral calibrating risk informing decision to governments in response to Putin's reckless sabotage. The EU kills Intel scenario 25. UK's departure from EU triggered recalibration of security framework and Intel capabilities, both data collection, retention, con data, hacking incomplete with EU incompatible with EU law. EU prohibits concern tech outright. It imposes rigorous control and surveillance. 9. Cross-stop LNG because insofar as we prove Russia isn't aggressing now, the uniqueness flows neg. But cutting LNG is cutting Intel and cutting US pullout incentivizes Russia to use it or lose it method, which turns kids for us in time. You don't know how long it'll be until Russia attacks in their world, but you know that all 3 impact scenarios and Russia attacking in our world are going to happen immediately. Time frame prereqs because we're all dead from our impacts. We can't all die from their impacts. That finally. Our argument euro links into their Russia ad. Recession cuts military spending, weakens NATO, empirics, more coast 20. Financial turmoil, dramatic fall in Europe, driven by need to reduce budget deficit spending, public NATO, military investments decreased by 22%, 10 years to recover. On shadow banking, 1. Their needs over euro. The shadow banking's been going on for so long, their impact scenario should have triggered way on time. It could take decades for the impact scenario to trigger, voting for them at least to our scenario immediately. Time for prereqs, because we're all dead from our impacts, we can't again from theirs. 2. Every single UK recession should have triggered their impact, but it didn't. Grant concedes the UK was in a recession 22, so it didn't go nuclear, then it would go nuclear now. 3. COVID recession and the 08 recession should have triggered their impact, proves it. A. The argument never happens, or B. Some other recession will inevitably come after the software and lead to extinction. 4. Cross-up tension, Ralph. That's the econ is good now, means the shadow banks aren't as badly econ as they say they are. But for us, we're the only ones to give evidence in the current economic state. 5. On Scotland, 1. Impact defense. UK nukes would still function. Answer 22. Quick renewable nukes not politically acceptable. The negotiated phase out is consistent with each country's Scotland defending UK sponsorship. To be a member of the NATO nuke subs, continue operating maintained by S-base. Preferred. This would happen in Cyprus. 2. Non-unique S&P has insufficient support. Regarding 7. Previous nationalists without support. S&P support only a third polls minority. Next may not in majority referendum do fail. Well beyond 5% would be reformed. UK presidents will offend likely face leadership challenge. 3. Dealing. Starmer says no, and they dropped independence. Senator 25. S&P dropped demands for independence. Sweeney says focus on the jobs regardless of Hollywood election. You cannot imagine new referendums. 4. Turn affirming increased priorities to section. Color 23. Leaders. Voters rely on priority. 30% say independence is right, but now more urgent thing for tackling Brexit. 5. If S&P wins, they can still secede in the app. There's no reason why S&P be satisfied reversing Brexit. Per their own warning, the S&P has been wanting to secede for decades, has wanted to secede for a long time. Even before Brexit happened, it's been a party for a long time. Meaning that even if you do the app, there's no reason why they still won't want to secede anyways. If they're in power, they can't do anything to stop it. That's my time.
Okay,
Vote neg.
Did you read everything?
Let me check.
Okay.
I read.
Marked off.
Sure. Are you taking prep regardless?
We'll wait for Mark.
Alright, so
Yeah, we won't go.
let's check what you read.
Can I see the script so I see what we do? Sorry, Harvard. No, I read these two. One.
So what do you got?
Just let us know when you send Mark.
Yeah, for sure. Just deleting some cards I was planning to read it out. And then I'm just gonna add a card that I read since I had time.
What?
I'm just gonna add a card that I read.
On which argument?
Not Scotland, sorry.
There was a card we forgot to put it, so.
Which one?
Wait,
It was on it was on your first contention on Black Sea, on deterrence. It was recession cuts military spending, that's more plus 20.
okay.
Oh, was it like a Lincoln?
It was Lincoln.
Oh.
That should be there. Vehicles intel. Alright, setting locked. Are you seeing prep after?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, should be set.
So wait, just confirming, like, you didn't read the last response in Scotland? The counter 23?
What? No, let me check.
Oh.
I said we added an extra card that we read on.
So wait, you read everything?
We read everything.
On Scotland. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh,
On
okay.
Scotland, yeah.
Alright. We'll take random prep a second. Okay.
Yeah, starting. You guys are on prep, right?
No,
We're
we're waiting for
waiting
that.
Okay.
You sent it?
Yeah, I sent it. Yeah, that's a large file. Not file, it's large. Not text.
Yeah, we just got it. Okay, cool. Let's start prepping.
Alright, 3, 2, 1. I think that it almost happened in 08 and it's
Recent equal good holiday. Do you want me to recent holiday?
okay, basically the font is 10.
Yeah. Wait, why not?
Because the post is
Okay. Wait, where is it?
Analyze the million voters in this country now, which most of his voters in Scotland. So that's it.
Where do you want me to paste it? In DocuSign.
This is Scotland. So it's like you can use the mask and direct. And then they say that
Just wait.
yeah, I got you. I'm good.
You're good?
Wait, oh, actually, last one got there.
Just read both of them.
It's like,
No, you don't need AGI advantage.
what was the
Wait,
last?
actually, no.
No, it's fine. Wait, I'll read it in turn.
Actually,
Oh, it's just data.
no, read this, please. Read this sometime.
Just like this chapter.
Okay.
Just gonna grab my water.
That's
Alright,
150.
That's it.
50. Okay, cool.
Okay, was that 150?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a lot of analytics, but whatever cards that I read, I'll send.
Alright. Can you go slow on the analytics?
Oh, yeah. Let me just like order doc, I guess.
Is it like it's half the judges for Corey judged yesterday, like half the policy kids judged yesterday, half judged today?
We just signed it for all the group.
Okay, I just like put the doc in. So it's a lot of analytics. Like I'm reading only a couple cards.
No worries.
Let me know when you guys get it.
Yeah, for sure. Did you send it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, give us a sec.
there. My name is Mel Dougherty, the second speaker for the girl. It's just gonna be the frontlinings, our case, and their case. Everyone good? Alright. We're going for shadow banks in Scotland's kick out of defense. One, they only have 2 turns. It says AFCOS, blah, blah, no. Our evidence finds that they're already doing it right now. That's conceded from case that the U.S. is already focusing on China anyway right now. And that means the EU's anyway key. So that thumbs the impact because the EU's also going to deter. That means that their invasion scenario doesn't happen. On the intel part, one, we argue that the EU has more intel sharing. They have 27 different countries like France. And France is literally part of the Five Eyes Alliance. So they're obviously going to do intel sharing. And that's why historically we said there's more intel sharing in the EU. It does not prevent it between an increase in the AF. Then shadow banks. One, they say it's there's been for years and there's no impact. When we literally saw a recession in 2008, 2009, which is conceded, and if conceded, specifically high in Britain now. Also, they say all recessions have caused it, but remember, the recessions they talk about, like the Great Recession, were literally in like 1934, but tensions are much more higher right now, so it's going to be uniquely key. Also, they literally read a recession goes global in their economy, or even just caused by their warranty. Then they just say econ good, but 1 hour evidence about from BBC 9/12 that the latest figures for the economy has registered 0 growth in July since it's post-6 their evidence since it's in September. Okay, then let's go to Scotland. They just say nukes are still functioning now, but most of the nukes are in Scotland, so it's still countries still perceptually see that and try to like make agreements with Scotland. That's conceded warranty. That doesn't matter. Then they say S&P has bad support, but their evidence doesn't analyze the 1 million young voters that are going to be able to vote in 2026. They say stronger says no, but most of these voters are in Scotland, so we have to say yes. It's conceded evidence. They say S&P has wanted to do it for years, but now specifically key because there's going to be a referendum in 2026. They say that AF is going to increase priority to not have a not for Scotland to like have a succession, but it's good in the app. They conceded warned that they're gonna have a better world, so they're obviously not gonna want to leave the UK. Okay, let's go to their case. On econ, when they say econ up, no, remember our evidence post states in September saying the latest figures show zero economic growth. Let's go to the scenario about the euro one. They say the AF causes we need the euro, but no, the UK is going to be able to get opt-outs since the EU wants the UK back for all the trade benefits. So the UK will get opt-outs and they don't need to adopt the euro. That's why many countries in the EU don't have the euro. There's 7 different countries who don't have to adopt the euro. They say recessions are going to occur, but no, if the shift in currency is gradual, the UK is going to be able to adapt. There's going to be no recession. They say it's going to replace the dollar, but the dollar is resilient. That's what we've seen when historically other countries like France have been in the EU and 27 other countries are in the EU. We didn't see the euro pass the dollar. The dollar has historically been resilient. They on this like oil, they see there's going to be a push for clean energy, but other countries are doing it now. Countries like France are already pushing for clean energy. We have not seen oil prices decrease, man, and they're in that trigger. A second, we'd also argue that oil is really resilient, which is why we haven't seen it pass with all these other countries. Also, the UK literally vetoed climate policy in the past in the EU. I mean, they're not going to push it. On the like Zoffer evidence. Zoffer evidence is terrible. Does not say US is going to stop attacking, or it doesn't say conflict once. Let's go on to let's go to C2 Russia. Firstly, on uniqueness, we would argue countries like NATO and United States already give LNG, meaning the UK isn't key. They say the Afghans, but no, their evidence concedes the UK can still trade. We read blue. If such uranium in Russia or export from Russia is not prohibited, import into the Union. Also, their evidence also concedes the UK is exempt. We read blue. Man 2500 dues to prevent UK, South Korea, and Netherlands would be exempt from rules imported and cap. Also, we'd argue that oil is anyway destroyed. Russian economy is really bad. They have no position to invade because they're already in a war with Ukraine and they already have to fight that war. They're not going to go to another conflict when they're literally using Ukraine. Also, Turner argument. When we don't EU, the EU gets stronger and more cohesive, which causes an increase in deterrence. Let's talk about on EMX scenario. Russia's just never going to invade. They don't have the military capabilities at all. In fact, that's why they haven't started any economic wide. They're literally using the UK more. Let's go to AI. One, they say partnership now. The partisan evidence says they plan to make the deal after actually happened. We're not buying it. Also, Turner argument when we increase more regulation in the app, that's actually better because investors like stability, so they're going to invest more into the AI sector, which makes the UK AI sector much better, which helps the US AI sector. On the link about innovation, one, France is a leading AI developer, even though they're in the EU. I mean, the EU does not harm innovation, actually helps it. Second, on semiconductors, their evidence literally concedes that the UK is exempt again. Evidence concedes the UK is exempt again. It's the Man 25 evidence. Then lastly, on the data legality, the UK has many of the same regulations as the EU, so it's not going to be like they're following different interpretations. A lot of countries already have to use the same regulations because the EU forced them to use the same regulations. There's no different data interpretations, meaning nothing happens.
Cool. Good for cross?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start on. Okay. I'll take the first question. Yeah. Let's start on econ. What month is your data from on econ?
September. Can I get a question?
No, but your card literally says it's the article's from September, but it analyzes data in July, right?
Yeah,
so
but your evidence doesn't analyze. It also
analyzes
only June.
No, our data analyzes evidence in August. That's literally
no,
what
but
it says.
again, the article's made in August, but it's not analyzing data.
Okay, can you read me the line where it says it analyzes data only in
Look at
June?
your article, because there's no way they made a report in the beginning of August on data.
Okay, then where do you get June from? They could have still
Okay,
gotten
let's
it
look for evidence.
from like early August. Like at that point, since we're the only ones that are giving
Wait,
you
your
the
evidence
quantifiable,
isn't even talking about how it is. It's a projection.
it's giving you a projection which is still accurate today. Like your evidence just says, oh, we might have seen
Wait, if
zero
we
growth in
actually
July.
give you evidence that talks about what's happening now, you can only give me a projection. You should
We
probably
give you
give our-
we give you like a more recent projection that analyzes for a lot more stuff than your evidence does
But
because
it's a
the fact it's more
projection.
recent.
It doesn't actually have anything. It's a projection.
Yes, it's not just a projection. It does analyze
You just
economic
told me
data and
it's
it tells you
projection.
what's happening around how and what's going to
I'm
happen
reading
in
your
the future.
evidence right now. It literally says it projects growth of 1.2%. Doesn't
Yeah.
actually happen. It's
Okay,
a
sure,
projection.
but like we're still telling you that your evidence is a lot less recent than ours, and
Wait,
B,
but it
if
doesn't matter.
our projection is showing higher economic growth, that means that your evidence shadow banking is probably not true because that means that it's like
But you've
shadow banking
also,
is not
yeah,
that effective.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. You've conceded the uniqueness. Shadow banking is increasing now. If that is increasing, that probably means the economy is going to be bad because you've also conceded.
Right, but
we
you've
saw
conceded
definition-
you've conceded our more recent projection that says that the economy is doing good right
Wait.
now. So if shadow banking is increasing, that means either A, shadow banking is good for the
Okay,
economy, which
we're-
I doubt, or
We're
B,
not
it
going
has
to
no
get anywhere.
effects.
Can I get a question?
Sure.
Okay, sure. Let's talk about Russia. Is NATO and the U.S. trading LNGs? Yes or no?
LNGs are coming through with the UK. No,
Yeah, but is NATO and U.S. trading?
I can't answer that. I'm sure you have the answer.
Yeah, they are. In fact, NATO actually supplies the EU, Russia a lot of LNG.
How
No,
much?
the U.S. already supplies Russia a lot of LNGs.
How much?
I don't have a number, but if they're already supplying LNGs, I would argue if the UK left, they'd probably give more LNGs.
Well, I don't really see how, if the UK left NATO. We're talking about the UK rejoining
Yeah.
the EU.
No, if the UK joined the EU, they supposedly had to stop trading. The US would just increase their LNG.
Why would but you said NATO's the one who's trading LNGs, not
No,
not
I
the
said
EU.
specifically the US.
Are you saying the US is trading LNGs with? Okay, how much?
I don't have the number, but the argument is if the UK leaves, stops helping with LNGs, then the US is just going to increase LNGs.
Why would they increase LNGs? They're literally
They don't-
sanctioning NATO right
Well, they don't want to
you-
stop the conflict you talked about, I would argue.
Okay, well we'd say like A, insofar as we've proven that we give you a quantifiable amount for how much of the LNGs the UK is like actually
Wait, but it
giving.
doesn't matter. You still have to talk about the war. Like, if,
Yeah, we're saying that insofar as we're the only ones to give like a number as to how much, you're probably buying our evidence versus we actually tell you that the UK is supplying a lot more LNGs. The US can only supply like so much. Insofar as the UK cuts all of its LNGs out, that probably means that the US wouldn't be able to make up for it. As far as you don't give a number on how much the US is currently supplying and how much they have the capacity to supply in the affirmative.
Okay, sure. We can
Sure.
talk about
That's
that.
gross.
You guys take a crap.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start running prep now.
Other than the case. No, but I want you to be current.
was 245.
How much?
250.
245.
We're missing 250.
Yeah. Okay, is anyone not ready? Okay, order will be our case, their case, and then wave will be in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Time starts on my first word. Judge, starting the economy, growth comes now per Ralph momentum into 26. The outcomes progression, 2 scenarios. Scenario 1 is the EU, is the euro. The plan forces the UK to rejoin without opt-outs per Solomon because the UK left and already countries are wary. 2 impacts. First is a recession. Per Pettinger, because the UK market is fragile and euro interest rates are set by the ECB, the mismatch will push them into recession. The second is dollar hegemony. The only thing holding the euro from going global is integration of European capital and the countries working together per Tarkovsky. The UK does this because it's one of the world's largest financial hubs, which they've dropped, per TCG. That pushes out the dollar since Gordon confirms the capital markets got more integrated than the euro will overtake the dollar because unity comes through integration. Maintaining dollar hegemony is key to making leadership and sanctions work per Zofer because the dollar reserve, because the dollar is currently the reserve currency and it forces negotiations and sanctions and periodically de-escalate situations that it's an alternative to conflict in the first place. In 2005, North Korea escalation was stopped through sanctions. So was Russian nuclear threats in 2014. Okay. They give you a few responses here. First, they say the economy is not improving, that the latest figures show zero growth, but A, our evidence is a meta-analysis by highly qualified authors, so it's more credible, and B, their evidence says there was no growth specifically in July. Our evidence is really clear and telling you the growth was up 1% in the last 2 quarters. We don't care about what happened in just 1 month, we care about the actual current trends, and C, ours is more recent. Okay, next they say that the EU that doesn't need to adopt the euro, but yeah, they do. They concede that the EU guidelines specify that non-regional members do not get opt-outs, and B, they conceded that countries in the EU do not want the UK to get opt-outs, which means that they won't. Firstly, they say a recession won't occur since it's gradual and the UK can adapt, but firstly, they have no evidence, and B, our evidence is really specific in isolating how the UK economy is very, very sensitive to interest rates, which are greatly changed immediately as soon as we adopt the euro, which triggers immediately. Next, they say the dollar's resilient. It's historically been strong, and yeah, that's because historically the UK has not used the euro. We tell you really clear that the EU and London controls 40% of all currency trade. That's what's really key, killing the dollar, because the balance is really close right now. The euro could take over the dollar, but hubs are key. And finally, we'll concede everything they say on clean energy because we're going for the hubs link. Since London controls 40% of all currency trade, it spreads currency. Nothing they say on clean energy matters. Okay, and on Zofer, they say that it says nothing about conflict, but their analysis is really horrible. Look to our evidence; it's really clear. Okay, next move on to AI. US-UK collaboration is key to combat China. UK specifically has educational advantage as per Parson. Government policy ensures innovation as per Department of Science and is working to check Sandal. Safety is included in per specific institute. And Jonas, we're going for the bad regulations like 43 legal interpretations, break down competitive AI per Wheatley. That creates ambiguity. This stifles innovation. Impact scenario, the window's closing starting in 2025 per Buchanan, and perceptual nuclear war per Kronig because China sees it as a window and goes for offense. We'll concede. Okay, firstly, on U.S. collaboration investment, they say the EU helps innovation, but no, it doesn't because investors pull out, and investment is key for innovation, which they've conceded. Cross-apply that to their response on bad regulations. On computer chips, we'll concede that the UK is exempt from it. Okay. Finally, on shadow banks, judge their evidence is over a year old. Why isn't the impact triggered yet? Wait on time frame. On time frame, we trigger immediately because the second countries see that the dollar loses its resilience, they escalate. That's conceded, that's terminal in their case, because that means that insofar as our impact triggers first, you're going to prefer it over theirs, because if extinction happens, then none of their impacts, none of what they're trying to solve for matters.
Alright, perfect. We'll start running that now. Okay, seven countries also don't have the euro. Okay, AI, they conceded on the regulations, they conceded the regulations cost stability. Increase AI. Okay, let's go. Wait, do you want me to go for their turn as the offense first? Okay, yes, okay. They respond shadow based, go for Scotland, it's conceded. They were tied for their arguments. Yeah, it's not against Scotland. Scotland's perceptual. Okay, what did they rate perceptually? They rate dollar going down.
They say they can hear perceptually dollar going down. How do they last? There's no one to pull last round.
Yeah, no, there's no one to pull down. Their link doesn't trigger something. They only have time. And you cost by their time from their link to us. Prerequisite. Scotland needs to be Scotland. Needs to be resilient in order for the West or for natives
Oh, I'm not sure you want to go for the train. Oh, yeah, there's no train.
It's like, it's not terminal. Okay, wait, I'm good.
It's like, the evidence document that you actually have a plan.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah,
And it makes this fun.
yeah, that's prep.
Is that all the rest of your prep?
That's all.
Alright.
Okay. Speech order is going to start on Scotland, then it's going to go to their time frame wing, and then our offensive wing, and then their arguments, starting with the top and the bottom. Okay. Time can start on my first word. We're going for Scotland extended. Right now we're telling you that Scotland wants us to secede. That's because of Brexit. They believe that Brexit is bad, but if we join the EU, they want to be part of the EU, so they want to secede. They've conceded the uniqueness that 1 million voters are going to be added by 2026, so the brink is 2026. But the moment Scotland leaves, other countries perceive that Scotland left, and they lash out immediately by breaking ties with Scotland, which causes the UK to get more nukes, which leads to a great power returns extinction, cross-line Star 15 warrant. Okay, they give you no responses. It's a conceded argument. Okay, like they send one response to Shadowbanks. It's not terminal. Don't respond to it. It's fine. Okay, on Scotland, go start on their time frame wing. One, if they don't win their link, they can't win time frame, which we'll get into more on their case. But even then, we would contend that like it takes time for the euro to surpass the dollar. It takes time for the AI sector to go down. But our brink is 2026, and from there it's perceptual. Other countries perceive it. It probably takes longer for like AI to get better than for like one actor to push a button, which is why you're voting us and caused by their time frame meta weighing, which is why like you should prefer our arguments over theirs. Okay, prerequisites. You're weighing us on prerequisites because like Scotland staying stable is key to like all Western countries, which is again a prerequisite to the dollar. Because if Russia gets into Scotland and like makes NATO collapse because Scotland's part of NATO, that means that the US dollar will go down because of investment. That turns their case. You can't give them access to case because if Scotland goes down, then the NATO gets cooked, and that cooks the US dollar. It's perceptual from there. Okay. Starting the economy. It's really simple here. They've conceded on the Euro link. They've conceded that 7 countries within the EU don't have the dollar just because we get opt-outs. They've conceded the warrant that everyone wants the UK back because they have the economic benefit. That means that they will get opt-outs. The only thing they say is yeah, they do because of the evidence. But they've conceded the warranting throughout this round. They just keep saying our evidence says this, but the warrant has not conceded that everyone wants the UK back because of the economic benefits. That means that cross-play are deaf evidence, which says that everyone wants it back because of their economic trade and political clout, which means that they will get opt-outs. Their link doesn't trigger, which means that you can kick their time frame right there because if their link doesn't trigger, they have no time frame on their impact. But even so, we would contend that their own software evidence. Go down in the article. It says that the dollar will never go down. It's speculation. Nothing will ever happen to the dollar because it's resilient. That's their own evidence. You can't vote here. Okay. Really quickly, we're gonna extend to like I guess we'll go for some other responses. Like we're gonna consider like other countries in the status quo have the euro. Nothing has ever happened. The dollar's resilient. Like whatever. Okay. On AI. The Parsons evidence of day reads that there's no plan for AI in the status quo between the UK and the US. It's like there's no scenario. Also like outweigh it on time frame. Right? It's not perceptual. Like in order for like China to perceive that they're losing, or in order for China to perceive that they're winning, something needs to actually happen in AI. Like an AI model being developed. That takes time. Like at least like 5 years. But for our impact to trigger, it's by 2026 where the referendum happens, and then it's perceptual from there. You're waiting that, and also like weight turns case swing because if Scotland goes down, and the UK automatically loses AI because they're focusing their resources on other things, which means that they will lose AI again. Like consequences prerequisites to turns case swing. Even then, on this regulation link, which they 3 years ago for, they make the biggest mistake in the round when they concede the regulations link. Realize they've conceded that regardless if you believe in a vacuum regulations are good or bad, they've conceded that regulations are perceptually good for investors. This means that we link into their impact because if regulations make investors happier, that makes the AI go up, which stops China from winning. We link into their impact, which is like even if you buy their time frame win, you're still giving them us their impact. Even if you don't buy its offense for us, it's like it mitigates their case because if they're not winning that like regulations are bad, they're not winning their case. Even then, we would contend that if we're winning offense there, it's another place to vote on probability because with 2 execution scenarios versus 1, there's a chance that at least one of them triggers more than their impact. So like on the probability, on the time frame, on the prerequisites, weigh us, and like also like they've considered terminal defense. It's really easy.
Good for grade.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright. Times on my first word.
Y'all can get the first question.
Alright, let's start on opt-outs. Can you give me a list of all the countries that have opt-outs?
You conceded that 7 countries don't adopt the euro, so it doesn't opt-outs in a vacuum don't matter. But you've also conceded the warranting that it's unique to the UK because like everyone wants them back. It's enough evidence. They give you 5 words for why everyone wants the UK back. And the analysis Milan made in rebuttal was very simple. It's if other countries want them back, they're going to do everything in their power to get the UK back, which means that they are going to get opt-outs. I know you're going to come up here in the next speech and say that everyone hates the UK, everyone hates that they left, but the warrant has gone uncontested.
Also, we can just
you haven't. None of your warrants are responsive to the stuff that we say that
No,
people
you
are.
Okay, in your last speech, you just come here and says our evidence says this, and they've conceded. But our warranting, which is also backed by evidence, which is the deaf evidence, has gone uncontested, which is from 2025, which probably outweighs. But we'll take a question. Sure. Okay, really quickly on AI. If regulations boost stability, doesn't that mean AI gets better with the app?
Well, we'd say that the stability that you're talking about comes
No,
from
if like in a vacuum,
means that
in a vacuum, like regardless of this round, if regulations were to boost stability, doesn't that mean that we help it? Like not us, but like anyone. If any side boosts stability,
not boosting stability though.
No, like if like in a vacuum, like we can talk. We'll argue the warrants later. I know you're not going to agree with the warrant, but like you're going to agree that like if the side increases stability, that means AI gets better, correct?
No.
Why?
No, why? Because isn't stability key? Okay, how is a country, like, for example, if you have an unstable economy, how are you going to develop AI?
I feel like you're misusing the word stability. Stability doesn't necessarily mean better. Stability means that it can still.
Okay,
that
define
it
regulations. What is the textbook definition of regulations?
Regulations are in the EU's case, laws are put into place that in this case limit innovation.
Limited innovation. Okay, fine. But like, what's the textbook definition of regulation? Like, just like if I were to open up a dictionary, what would it be? I can answer that if you can.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like a standardized set of rules that all players have to follow. If it's
Sure,
standardized, that
that
means that
sounds
by
good on
definition,
paper, but if you
by
look at the
definition,
UK
it's stable.
Okay.
Also, all
By
it's new, you
definition
can see
sounds
the warranty.
again. That sounds good on paper, but if you looked at what the EU's doing right now, you're seeing that its regulations aren't necessarily making it stable. They're only limiting
On my
innovation.
paper, you know what sounds good on my paper? It's like it's flowed through clean. Like there's no response. So like if you're gonna come up here in the next speech, we're A gonna tell you it's a new response, and B we're gonna respond to the warranting. So you know like
Not
you
a
can.
response. It's been something that was extended in
Well,
rebuttal
it
and
wasn't
summary.
extended.
It was extended. That's a response, man. If it was read in rebuttal and it's extended in summary. Also, if it's an offensive
we're
response,
saying.
we're winning your case.
Well, that's what we're saying. That what we've said has been extended in rebuttal and in summary.
Yeah, you just say like, oh, our evidence is, or your partner literally like comes up here and says like, cross-apply this warrant to like all of their responses, but you don't respond to the stability warrant. Even if you know that regulations are bad, if they perceptually are good for stability, we're still winning this round.
You can get a question.
You can get a question.
Let's talk about your argument. Let's talk about your argument on shadow banking, right? So.
We're not going for shadow banking.
Oh, sorry. Your argument in Scotland, right? So, how long has S&P been a thing?
Okay, one, no responses are extended. Don't let them get new responses now. But even then, we contend that you can see the uniqueness of the brink is 2026 because new young voters who weren't able to
You're
vote in
not answering my question. How long has S&P been a thing?
It doesn't matter. And so, like, also, like, I don't know this. Like, do you know? Like,
I
I
don't know.
can
I'm
admit that I
asking
don't know
you.
how long
It's been a lot longer than Brexit has.
Okay, but like you conceded. Okay, I know what you're gonna come up here and say. You're gonna say that it's like this for a long time, nothing's happened. But you conceded the evidence of 1 million new voters are coming now next year.
That's not what I'm going for. Can you just
But
what
you
I'm
can't
trying
go
to?
Okay, wait, if you know, then why are you asking me? Like, you can come up here and tell it.
No, but
it's new.
I'm
It's
asking.
cross.
Okay,
That's
sure.
fine.
You guys don't. You guys have 5 seconds of prep, or like 10 seconds of prep.
Okay, we'll start the remaining 15 seconds.
I think it's
Wait, the first speaker said Scotland. Can you put it on?
Okay,
That's
that was
fine.
all of it.
We have 10 seconds.
Okay. It's going to be the Euro winning their case. That's my first word. We're going for the Euro. Growth comes down per Ralph momentum in 2026. The AF kills progress because of the Euro. The plan forces the UK to rejoin with opt-outs, without opt-outs per asylum because the UK left already countries are wary. 2 impacts. For the first, recession because the UK market is fragile and Euro interest rates are set by the ECB. Then mismatch will because it puts them into recession. Second, dollar hegemony. The only thing holding the UK from going global is integration of European capital and countries working together per Tukarski. The UK does it because it's one of the world's largest financial hubs per TCG that pushes out the dollar. So Snarlingo confirms the capital markets get more integrated than the Euro, which will overtake the dollar because unity comes to integration. Maintaining dollar is key. They're making leadership sanctions work as offer because the dollar reserve currency forced negotiating sanctions empirically de-escalate situation and alternative to conflict in the first place. In 2005, no escalation stops through sanctions. So is Russian nuclear threats in 2014. On the Euro, they can see the only original members of the opt-out. Those are 7 countries that they talk about. Additionally, they say the countries want the UK, but they can see there are other countries that don't want it. Our evidence specifically isolates countries like Spain and Greece will block opt-outs. Even if some countries don't want it, even if some countries want the UK, other countries don't. It only takes one country to veto the UK, which means that insofar as only one country vetoes the UK, that one country is left to force opt-out. They concede that, and insofar as only one country is able to veto the UK, that means the UK forces opt-out. They say that Zoffer says the dollar is resilient. Yes, we agree it's resilient right now, but our evidence is very clear explaining that UK is specifically key for the dollar's downfall. Even though it's key then, it was from 5 years ago. Our that's a lot more recent says that right now the dollar is on the brink of being cut, and the UK specifically key for the dollar's downfall because it controls 38% of currency trade, which kills the dollar through financial hubs. Weighing. Insofar as we prove that we're waiting on time frame that kicks any prereq because even if our extinction triggers first, then their prereq never happens because we all die first. On time frame, they horribly misconstrue recession next time. Look to on the UK, let the EU take around 5 days to say perceptual, but perception never triggered until Scotland actually leaves. That takes way too long and easily prefers on time frame because they try the economic change of recession next time, but they miss it. The analysis of interest rates change the economy instantly because how sensitive it is. That means that our impact trigger first. If Scotland goes down, then they say it takes time for the AI sector and more time for the AI sector in the Euro. No, our link is perceptual. As soon as you do the app, other countries know the dollar's going to go down, leading to escalation. Our link is perceptual, their link isn't. You can easily press on time frame because they tell you the economic change of recession. They examine they didn't see analysis of interest rates change the economy instantly because how sensitive it is. That means actors escalate instantly when they perceive the dollar going down.
Okay,
Yeah, bro. Go for the turn. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so speech order, it's gonna be our arguments, the weighing their arguments. Everyone good? Alright. Time starts on my first one. Extend Scotland. Right now, Scotland's about to succeed by 2026. That's because of the SNP party, which has 1 million new young voters that are coming in by next year, which is going to vote for the SNP to lead. And Star Wars has conceded. And also, if we rejoin the EU, Scotland sees we have like a better society because we're joining an organization that they like. If they didn't like Brexit, I mean Scotland's going to say, which is key. Because if they don't, then Scotland's going to leave with like half of the UK nukes, which is bad because other countries get pulled in immediately. It's the premier perception of Scotland trying to leave makes other countries try to strike deals with Scotland. That's conceded, which leads to an escalation of nuclear war and extinction. There's no response on it. It's clean conceded. EV's place to vote. You look to our case first. Let's go to the weighing. Firstly, they've conceded first. The time frame weighing is really important here. One, they've conceded that the mere perception of Scotland actually trying to leave the UK is going to make other countries try to like strike deals and escalate. That is conceding. Meaning our argument is perceptual too, and they've also conceded it takes time for the dollars to go down because if the dollars have been resilient for so long, it's obviously going to take time for the euro to surpass it. Because if they've also conceded that the dollar has historically been resilient, so it's obviously going to take a little bit of time. And if our argument perceptual happens much faster, they didn't give you a warrant to why their argument perceptual. They say it's perceptual. You're easily buying our time frame warrant. I mean, you can vote on the prerequisite that Scotland's key to Western stability. Because if Scotland ends up leaving and other countries start fighting each other, then it's going to cause a recession impact they talk about. Which literally means you have to solve for our argument to solve for their argument. It's really easy to vote on the wing. But the last place to look into is their case. On the Euro 1, it's conceded in every speech the warrant the countries want the UK back for the economic stability. The Duff evidence is conceded in every speech. They make a new response saying some countries don't want to. They read no evidence on this. When the Duff evidence is conceded, the warrant is conceded that because of the economic progress that they're going to get, the other countries want the UK back, they're going to get opt-outs. But also they concede that the Zoffer evidence says that the dollar's never going to go down, so they don't get access to their wing. On AI, we're just going to go for the turn. One, they've conceded that when we read on the EU, we get more regulations, which is key to stability, because if there's more regulations, investors like it, so they invest more in the AI sector, which is key to actually helping the UK and US pass China. And if we don't, then China ends up invading and ends up attacking, which leads to a nuclear war and distinction. The mere perception of China actually trying to go into invasion of US not winning is going to make China go into an invasion, which happens first in their argument because it's the same perceptual thing they have said, and the euro takes time to actually go down. It's a pretty clear. So we get their time frame. It's a pretty clear go down.
Good round, guys.
Good round. Thank you so much for judging.
Thank you.